From anxiety and depression to heart disease, stroke, and weight gain, this extremely common culprit that causes a slew of issues is something we can all relate to. Well, let's welcome back Dr. Elizabeth Rodgers with more on how to control stress. We all have stress in our lives.
We all have stress. And there's literally no one on planet Earth now that's immune to stress.
It's true.
Which is, I think, why this is one of my favorite areas of my expertise, because there isn't anyone that it doesn't impact.
Why does stress cause the things that I mentioned and so many other issues?
I am so happy you asked me this. It literally creates disconnection in our bodies. So let's use gastrointestinal health as an example. That's one of the ways that stress impacts our health, especially women in particular.
Yeah.
Stress is literally interrupting the communication between your brain and your digestive system. So stress is creating disconnection really between our minds and our bodies.
So when you are in the middle of it, sometimes you don't necessarily know that you are until the time has passed. And then you start to feel things that you didn't feel before. How do you recognize in the moment that you are in fact going through a stressful period, that your body is stressing out? And how do you relax yourself? How do you get through it?
This is so important. And I was hoping we were going to get to talk about this specific topic in question. One of the most important things we can do is first, like you're getting at, is recognize the signs and symptoms and also the root causes of our stress. Because, for example, we all lived through the pandemic over the last 3 years, and we were going through the motions, getting through it to get through it, and now here we are 3 years later, and it's had a long-term impact that's negative on a lot of people's lives. So one of the things is to recognize that going through stress is not a normal part of daily life, and that is actually one of the most important things that I think anyone can do to remedy stress, no matter how long you've been dealing with it, is reconnect your mind and your body. Our health has been compartmentalized not just by stress, but by so many other things, especially women's health, for way too long. And when we connect through our nervous system, it actually impacts positively every other area of our health. But here's the kicker about the nervous system, and I think why people aren't necessarily recognizing the signs of stress. Your nervous system knows what's familiar. So even if you have chronic stress, you are stuck in fight or flight, and you are burning out your adrenal glands, and you are in GI distress, that experience is what's familiar to your nervous system. Your nervous system doesn't judge good or bad. It just knows normal versus not normal. So what is familiar is normal to your nervous system.
Sometimes that state of stress is
actually
normal.
Our bodies then quite literally adjust. Now, this isn't healthy though. So what we have to do is regulate our nervous systems. When we do that, first, it allows us to get out of fight or flight. It allows our systems to readjust to functioning normally. And it also importantly allows us to process the emotions that do come up when we experience stress, because often we don't allow ourselves to do that part of the process. And then 20 years later, it creeps up in some other way.
Exactly, yeah. And I hope I can articulate this in a way that makes sense, because when you're talking about how that period of stress, it becomes normal to your body. So you're in it, and it's good in the moment though, because otherwise you're going to be fighting against yourself and not get anything done.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, you're exactly right, and you're getting at a great example, which is that when your body and your nervous system gets adjusted to the familiar experience of just having stress all of the time, for us to introduce you to a new type of experience that's not familiar, even one that's peaceful, happier, healthier, it's a challenge for our nervous systems because they don't know how to regulate and adjust to that.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time as well.
It takes time.
So what would you recommend then for someone who maybe not realize that they're in a stressful period to calm their mind, do something for their body, whether it's yoga, meditation? What would you recommend?
There are so many great ways that you can start to remedy going through these types of things. I think they're helpful for everyone, no matter what kind of stress you're dealing with, whether you realize it or not. And of course, there are great things to do to connect your mind and body. So doing something like movement, but movement out in nature, where you're disconnecting from all the stuff.
Don't bring your phone with you.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting
Don't
at.
go anywhere dangerous without your phone. But
go take a walk, even in your yard in the
Yes.
grass with your bare feet.
Yeah.
There are also some really great supplements that I would recommend. One is called lemon balm, another is called ashwagandha. These are two fantastic supports for the nervous system, and lemon balm is one of my favorite things I love to recommend because it will help regulate and calm and soothe your nervous system. So it will just give you that added benefit.
And I'm sure there's so many others, but for people who want to know more, where do they go?
If you want to know more about the supplements themselves,
how do they find you?
They can go to my website at drelizabethrodgers.com, and I'm happy to share recommendations anytime.
Oh, terrific.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, Dr.
You're
Rodgers.
welcome.
Great to see you.
You too.
Get healthy, everyone. We're back after this.